All right, welcome back to another video. So this is episode 2 of our multiplayer inventory components tutorial series. So in the last video, we just made some basic setup of the projects. So let's actually get into the good stuff, the actual inventory system. So to do this, we need to have items and we need to have things to pick up and stuff like that. So in my previous series, I've usually used structures to set up data. I'm not going to do that in this one because I find that structures just have an issue. They usually just stuff breaks and stops working for no reason at all, and it's a known issue that Unreal Engine has been having for a long time, and there's a bunch of threads, and I've reported it and other people have reported it, but they just refuse to fix it, and they say that it's fixed, but it never is. So we're just not going to do structures. Instead, we're going to store our inventory data or our item data in the absolute base class, which is going to be the object. So we're just going to make objects and we're just going to reference the objects instead of structs. Or the objects are going to contain our different data like name, item meshes, and descriptions and stuff like that. The reason we're using objects is because they are the absolute base class of Unreal Engine actors, and or they are the absolute base class in general, so the performance is better than of using this. You could also do actors and stuff like this, but the objects are just a little bit more performance. I don't think there will be an issue if you use actors or whatever you want to, because it's just going to be references to it. So I think in order for this to actually make a difference, there probably needs to be several millions or something of references. So, but still, I'm just going to use an object anyway. So we're going to do object, we're going to select, we're going to call it we're just going to call it item object. Master item, let's call it that. Actually, I can't add static meshes and stuff like that to this one, right? So this is not going to be the master item. This is just going to be the item object. We might rename this later. We're also going to do another built-in class that is actually going to be an actor. And this actor will be master item. So the item is the actual item in the world. Actually, I might as well just do actors. Might be easier. Let's just do actors. It won't be a performance issue. We can do items. We can do actors. So this is our item. So we are actually gonna be doing some variables first. Just some basic variables. We're gonna have a name. This is the item name. We're gonna have description. We're gonna have a texture 2D. It's gonna be the variable type texture 2D. There we go. And this is gonna be called item image, which is gonna be the image that gets shown in the inventory. We are gonna do we're gonna do item mesh, which is gonna be the item mesh, static mesh. It's gonna be the item, like when you equip it or whatever, is like what item gets shown on your body if it's a sword, for instance. We're also actually gonna add a static mesh here, which is gonna be the representation in this screen. And so you can do this item in whichever way you want to. You can even already have items. The only thing is you're gonna change it in the inventory component later to your item. And you can call it whatever you want to. I'm gonna prefix this with BP master item. So there we have just a basic item for now. It's gonna be a cube. Oh, the chamfer is fine, just so we have a representation of it. It's a little bit big. We're gonna do 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. There we go. There's our item. We can see it in the world. So this is our master item. We're also in here gonna disable the collision on the static mesh. So no collision. There we go. And in our inventory components, we are gonna add a variable called inventory. And this inventory will be of the master item class reference. And will be an array. Here we go. I'm just thinking. That is fine. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. Perfect. And we want to create another widget. User interface, widget blueprint. We're gonna call this, we're gonna select user widget. We're gonna call this WB inventory slot. So this is going to be the actual slot inside of the inventory that holds all of the items. And let me just get some reference stuff here so that we actually have something in the project just for show. 1 second. I'm just going to pause. There we go, and I'm back. So basically, I just set up some test stuff. I just merged 2 of the cubes to one static mesh so that it's recognizable, and then I just quickly made an icon for it. Not gonna go into the details how I did that. I just print screened it and then cut out the edges basically. So that's an icon. So now we have a test item and we have an icon. I'm not gonna do like proper swords and stuff like that. We'll probably do that in the specific series that we do later. But this is just to show that everything is working. So that's it. So in our inventory, not in this one. So this is our master item. We now have a mesh. We have some variables. So what we want to do is we also want to add some collision to it. Sphere collision. And we're going to call this interact all. We're going to increase the radius a little bit. And perfect. So when we interact with this, we want to actually, let me pause 1 second. All right, back again. So I just had to think a bit and experiment. So we made this interface, the inventory interface. We make a function called pickup item, but let's just call it add item instead, because we might do this without picking stuff up. Add item, and the reference here is item to add the input. So now we need to use this interface. So basically we are using interfaces here to avoid casting, because interfaces are cheaper, and with interfaces we also don't hard code it, so we can use it for several actors. So we could, in our master item here, we could cast to master character, which is our character, and we could get inventory components, and we could just add the items from here, but that requires us to cast, which isn't always the best, because we might need to do this with other things that aren't our master character. So what we're gonna do here is, instead, we're gonna does implement interface, and if this actor uses our inventory interface, we can call the interface function. So this is what this basically does is that every actor that uses this interface will have this function. So we need to go to our character and we need to add the interface, and you do that by going to the class settings and go to interfaces. You add inventory interface, and you can now see it here. We have the function add item from the interface. So if the master item overlaps, we add, we have this add item message. From the target is our other actor, and the item to add is self. And after that, we destroy ourselves. We also need to make sure to go into our master item and set replicates to true, so that it actually, this destruction gets replicated and everything. So let's just see if that works. You can see that it disappears. And don't worry if this seems like very basic. We're gonna improve on this later. For now, we're just gonna pick it up, the items, whenever we overlap it, but later we're gonna do so that we can pick up with key binding, and so that it's very modular. So it will be a setting basically that you decide yourself. So that's it there. So exactly. So in our inventory now, we can get this add item message. So we have the events now. So we're not going to call the function. We're going to so on the event that this actually gets called, we're going to print string, just so we see that it works. And we're going to print over this item. And you can see BP master item. So it got passed through correctly. And this is also one of the things that I tell people to do in my comments. So if you're advanced already, I'm sorry if I over-explain stuff now, but printing a string is always a very good way to see that stuff works. So if ever you have a problem, like let's say you would write in the comments now, like, it doesn't add the item or whatever, start by doing this. Okay, let's just print a string from the item, see that this event actually triggers. And we can see that it triggers because we get the text on the left. And then if that would work, then you just go ahead in your code and print strings until you see that it doesn't get printed anymore. And then you will see like, oh, okay, here is the issue. Or if it prints something else, maybe it would say like, it would say none here instead, because I actually forgot to add the item or something. So then you know that something is wrong. Anyway, from here, we're gonna get our inventory component. And we're gonna get inventory. We're gonna add, not unique, we're just gonna add. Exactly. There we go. And we're just gonna drag over to get the class. There we go. And in our master item, we're gonna call it it's gonna be called master item. This is the master item. The item image will be test item image, and the item mesh is already there. Perfect. So now we also need to set up this inventory slot that we made. So we're gonna do the canvas. I'm just gonna do a image. Actually, we're gonna do a border. No, not a border. We're just gonna do an image called item image. Actually, we're gonna do two images. We're gonna do 3 images just to keep it simple. Actually, we're gonna do a button, I think. Yeah, we're gonna do a button. And no, yeah. And we're just gonna change. We're gonna get the button. We're gonna make it something like this. Oh, that's the image. Okay. So the item image will be, I'm just gonna right click material. Just so that I can actually see something. Does that work? There we go. So I just right clicked, made a material. Inside it, I changed it to be masked, and I just pressed 1 and click, and you will get the value, or 0. You can just right click and get constant also, and just plug it into the opacity mask to make a transparent image or a transparent material. Actually, this is not an image, it's a material, so yeah, it's good to have a transparent material also. I'm just gonna set, I'm just gonna minimize this while I change the button. The background color, there we go. And we have a nice inventory slot. And the image, we're just gonna anchor it to the, no, not the entire one, sorry. We're gonna do something like this, so that it fits inside the square. And inside of our inventory, we are gonna on begin play. No, we're gonna make a custom event called update. Actually, we don't need to make a custom event. We can do a function called f update inventory. Or actually, this is the inventory, so we can just call it update. And we are gonna from here there's gonna be an input of inventory, and it's gonna be master item, class reference, and an array. So this inventory array here is the same as in our inventory component. You can see they look the same. So we need to transfer it from our inventory component into the inventory widget, which we do with this function. We're gonna for each loop, we're gonna create widget. So for each item, we're gonna create one of the inventory slots. And here, yep. And in the inventory slot, we also need to make a function called update. And for now, we're just gonna get the item image, set image. No, set brush from texture. And we're just gonna plug it in. And give me 1 second here. All right, sorry about that. Just had to fix some stuff. So the only thing we'll do here is we will update the item image just for now. Let's see if this works by passing the texture. So from here in the inventory, we're gonna drag update. We're gonna get image, get class defaults. And we're gonna get the item image. And the reason we're actually, if you're wondering, the reason we are actually doing the class reference here and not the object reference is with object references, you have to specify a specific object in the scene or something like that. Oh, inside of our inventory widget, we are gonna create a text called just inventory. Oops. Just so we know. And we are gonna create a, what's it called? It's called grid. Uniform grid panel. Uniform grid panel we can add. No, we're gonna wrap the text with a vertical box, and we are gonna just need to see so that it's recording. Yeah, we are gonna put both the inventory text and the uniform grid panel in here. The grid panel though will go from left to right and down, and we are gonna wrap. Actually, let's not have a border. Let's do like this. Or okay, there we go. So the vertical box in the border, set the alignment to fill, and then the text to center and the grid to fill. Let's just do this for now. We can see how it works if we drag in slots here. Oh no. As children there, we can. That's good. Perfect. So, in the graph, make sure this grid is a variable. We're gonna get the grid. We're gonna add child. So for every item in the inventory array, we're gonna loop through the array. For every item, we're gonna create one of the inventory slots. We're gonna set the image of that specific slot to the image of the item. We're gonna update it, and we're gonna add it to the grid. And this will all happen when in our master character we add the item. When we show the inventory, we are also gonna update. So when we show the inventory in the inventory component, we are going to create the inventory widget, and we're going to call the update that creates all of this. So let's see if that works. It's probably not going to work, but yeah, okay. So we also need to drag in the actual inventory here. So nothing. So it doesn't work. Let's find out why. There's probably a bunch of reasons. The first one probably being because this is not replicated. But I'm doing standalone, right? Okay, so it's not a replication issue. Let's debug. And this is a good opportunity for me to actually show you the debugging. So instead of doing this, we're just gonna we're gonna take the F key, and we're gonna grab our inventory component, and on this we're gonna get inventory, in string, and we're gonna see if it actually gets added. So nothing happens when I press F. We pick this up. So the inventory component actually has the item. We know that. Okay, so that's good. So when we show the, we do know that it gets showed. Okay, so here's the issue. Let's just print string here. So we pick it up, we have it, and we know that it gets triggered. So do we need to actually add, do we need to add this to view? Ah, okay, yeah, we see. We aren't adding here. So on add child, we need to actually add it also. So we create the inventory slot, we need to add the inventory slot to the grid panel. And there we go. Now you can see that we actually have it in our inventory. 32 minutes, right after I said, let's do short videos. We are already back to 32-minute videos. So that's going to be it for now. We set up a lot of basic stuff. We have our inventory, can pick up items, and we have them in our inventory. So that's going to be it for this one. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I hope I was good at explaining stuff. I'm making this as we go, so that's why it's sometimes going slow. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.